Welcome back to another video, and today I want to continue on the Pricelabs investigation of their amazing tools, and we're going to be diving into customizations. Now, customizations have played a vital part in not only taking me out of the business side of things, because I'm not having to go in and be adjusting my prices all the time, changing length of stays. All I really do is set it and forget it for the majority. Now, there are some tweaks that I do on a weekly basis, which I'm going to come on to, which definitely help increase that income and profitability. But for the main, we can rely on the data within this tool to be able to go about our business, find more properties, focus on other areas, operations, whatever that might be, and then ultimately just letting the tool do the work in the background to make sure that we're capturing as much profit and as much revenue as we possibly can from each and every unit. Because as you scale, it becomes a lot harder to manage pricing on multiple units. It's very easy at the beginning if you've only got a few listings, but as you scale your portfolio, as I'm sure you want to, and that's the dream outcome for you over the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, you're going to need some help. And for the minimal amount of money that this tool actually costs, you will reap that back tenfold, if not 100 times over, by letting the system change your pricing automatically. Now, let me just explain how it works at a high level overview. So when you have a listing, you will choose a base price, and I'm going to show you on the screen in a second how this all looks and how you change it. So bear with me on that one. But your base price will be an indicator of what you want on an average nightly rate. Most people, when they're running their pricing themselves, will set a base price. They will then just charge out $100 per night unless they manually go in and change it down to $90 or $110 or whatever price they see fit. Where the system kicks in and where this magic tool really helps is it will see if there's supply or demand on certain nights. For example, if there is a massive concert launched, or maybe there's a World Cup football event launched, or some big event has been identified in your city, and you are having coffee, you're out playing with your family, you are on the golf course, you're just basically not in the business and you haven't got the eyes on the business, but this is launched, this news comes out, everybody piles into the city to book. Well, this system will automatically see there's massive demand, so your $100 might become $150, $200 a night. And even by just doing that, you're going to make so much more money than if you were out playing golf, for example, and you're at $100 and then someone books your place at $100 when really you could have been charging a lot more. Because this has so many different connections to so many different channel managers and so many different properties around the world, it can see when there are hotspots, when there's trends, it can see when busy weekends are, and it automatically changes the pricing for you so you don't have to be on it all the time. And that's one of the Bruty bonuses about this customization tool. There's many more things that this tool does do, so let's dive into it now, and I'm going to give you a quick screen share of how I look at it and give you a bit of the basis behind the thinking about how I change things, so hopefully you can implement it into your short-term rental business as well, and you can use this fantastic tool to capture more revenue for you. Okay, so when you dive into the screen here, you're going to be presented with a very basic dashboard, but it's great. I like simplicity. I don't like a lot of things that are complicated. We're going to come up to dynamic pricing and we're going to click customizations, because that's what we're going to be talking about in today's videos. The customizations you can run in many different levels. So if you're not familiar with Pricelabs, it has an account level, it has a group level, and it has a listing level. So an account level is basically every single property that's in your account. If you make a change on an account level, then every single listing will be changed, unless you have a group setting. Now, the group setting means that if you change it on an account level, then the group setting will kick in if you have a group customization. And then one layer deeper is the listing level. So if you set something on a specific listing that you want to be customized, so say for example, you might have one listing that you want to have a minimum stay of 7 days, but everything else in your account you want to be 5 days, then as long as you specify it on the listing level, then any changes made on the account level or the group level will not affect the listing level. So it kind of moves down in a hierarchy from listing level being the most important, and that will trigger first, group level next, and then the account level after that. In terms of the account level, this is predominantly how I set up most of my listings. And it really depends on how you want to customize or how you want to run your business. And each business is going to be different. So you're going to have to maybe do a bit of research into what your trends are, what your average booking window is. Are you playing in the tourism game where you might be looking to capture 2-3 day stays across the weekend? Or are you maybe trying to attract more contractor stays, which might be 30 days, 60 days? You'll know your business better than anybody, so you've got to play around with it at the beginning to find out what the sweet spot is. But typically, all we do is come into the stay restrictions. We have a fixed minimum stay. I work on 3 days through the week and 2 days on a weeknight. We have an orphan gap, which is 1 day on a weekend and 1 day on a weekday. What this basically does is, if, for example, you have a 3-night minimum stay through the week and you then have someone book, say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you've got someone book Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then you have what's called an orphan night on the Wednesday. The system would not allow anybody to book that properly because you've got a 3-night minimum stay, unless you put in an orphan night booking option like we have here, so a gap day of 1 night. Now what we do with that orphan night is not bill that out at the same rate, because we don't really want to be doing 1-night stays, or I certainly don't anyway, because the cleaning, the linen, the turnover costs and the potential guest damage increases and it reduces your profitability down. So we want to be getting as longer stays as possible that we can for our properties. But having said that, if, for example, my nightly rate is $100 and I have an orphan night rate of $200, well, that's like me getting 2 nights booked, and the clean's going to be the same as a 2-night booking and the turnover costs and everything like that. So I'd be willing to take that booking, because obviously I'm saying here that I'm willing to take that booking on a weekend. So there's things like that that you can customize. Last minute bookings, I don't have anything in for, and again, 4-hour bookings, I don't have anything in for at this minute in time. But what you can do is simply add them in. So you can have, if you want a last minute booking on a weekday night, let's say it's got to be 2 nights minimum, weekday it's got to be 3 nights minimum, and that's got to be within a 5-night range. That means that they cannot book within 5 nights of the date that they want to stay. Far out bookings, again, you can decide that you might say, okay, well, I know that in the summer I am going to be pretty occupied and I tend to get longer stays. So you might say in the summer I want a 10-night weekday minimum and a 10-night weekend minimum, and you want that beyond let's say 30 nights. So 30 nights in terms of before the stay date, they would have to book for a minimum of 10 nights to be able to make that booking, and the software will then feed this to your channel manager, to Airbnb, to booking.com, wherever you're advertised, and it will then change the settings so that they cannot make a booking if it falls outside of the parameters. There are these smart presets which Pricelabs introduced several years ago, and I think one of the greatest things about Pricelabs is they are always trying to really improve what they're doing and improve the customer experience and make it as easy as possible for us to be able to make decisions based on the thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands probably of data sets that they've got from all different types of properties all around the world, and making it easier for us as smaller hosts to be able to say, okay, well, I've only got this tiny bit of data for my property, but in my area I know that there's a lot of data feeding into this to help me make the best decisions for my properties. And you can see here they put tips next to the customizations to be able to allow you to make better and informed decisions. So I have no last minute adjustments, but you could say, right, customize last minute prices. You might go gradual. So you might say, I want to customize 20% within 10 days. That means it's going to be, obviously you can go discount or premium. So in this case, it's going to put a 20% premium within 10 days. That means that 10 days before the stay, it's going to add 2% onto the price for those 10 days until obviously the last day, where it'll be 20%. You could do discount if you wanted to do discount, or you could just do a flat rate of 20%, and again within 10 days, or you might say 2 days, whatever. You can decide how you want to change those settings to suit your business. Now with the orphan day, I kind of touched on this before, so you'll see here we have 120% increase on the price. So if it's $100, it's going to take it to $240, and that's for one night stays. And that's because I'm not really that bothered about getting a one night stay, because I think the hassle, the turnover, the cost, the extra staff that you need if you are doing one night really reduce your profit down. But if someone's willing to pay 120% more than the average nightly rate, then of course we'll take the booking. You have occupancy-based adjustments. Again, customized far-out prices. You can decide, again, gradual, and it's just, after this day, it applies to this percentage, and it will increase it over this amount of time. I don't bother with that, but again, you've got to just play around with these things and see what suits. I know when I first started the business, I was constantly looking at the rates. I was constantly playing around with it manually on Airbnb, and that was before I got a tool like this. But when I did get a tool like this, what I then did was I really focused on tweaking things and testing things, and then seeing, has that had a positive reaction or a negative reaction to the monthly revenue that's coming from that property. And then I just over time really played around with the customizations and just tweaked things to suit the majority of my portfolio. As you get bigger, you have a few more issues, in that some of your portfolio might be high-end luxury properties, some might be two-bed apartments, for example. You might then need to start using the group section to be able to identify those needed different settings to the apartments. And that's the clever thing about this tool. As we move through it, you can choose different profiles for your occupancy-based adjustments. Now, what this is very simply, there are some presets here, so you can choose aggressive and it will already put it in. So what it means is, effectively, if you are within 16 to 30 days and the property is minus 10% occupied, then it will give a 20% discount on the rate. If you are running this as an account level, this will be taking the occupancy of your entire account. It will not just be the listing. All these customizations are in the different tabs: accounts, groups, and listings, and they're exactly the same. So if you just want to have it whereby your listing gives off a certain discount depending on the occupancy of that particular listing. If you're running a management company, for example, then you may want to run everything on a listing basis so that each owner has their own fair share. If you have a portfolio of properties in a certain area, like for me in Newcastle, I've got a certain type of property in a certain type of area. We've probably got, 50 of the same type of property, for example. So therefore, I'm happy to run a group customization to all those properties, because the reaction and the response of each property all plays into the pool. But you can also run listings. So we might have a few of those properties that we know perform very well, so we want to take them out of the group situation. So we then just put a listing customization on those. But it all runs exactly the same. So once you get the hang of it on the account level, it all filters down to group and listings, and you can then decide how you want to play it. And again, we have this, so you'll see here, if we are 80% occupied, and then we want to actually increase the rate in this time frame, or if it's outside of 31 to 60 days booking window, then we want to increase it 10%, because we're not that bothered about discounting our prices down. We've got a high occupancy, we're booked. We only need to panic when we're kind of down in this region and we need to drive some bookings in. Now, one thing that I do use to be able to help me with build out these profiles is when you look into your data. So if you look into your portfolio analytics, which is here, I'm not going to go into that today. I am going to do a different video on that. But when you look into your portfolio analytics, it will give you an average booking window time frame. So for example, the last time I checked, ours was about 11.5 days. So that means when we are in this section here, and we're tweaking our profile to suit, let's just choose aggressive, I might change this to be 11 days, because I know that the majority of my people are going to book between this 12-day window and 30-day window, because my data is telling me that on average people are booking at 11.5 days before the stay date. So I might actually tweak this down to 10, and I'll start this at 11. So this would be where I'm looking to capture the majority of my business. Now, anything that falls into this window here, I know I've possibly missed the opportunity because my average is 11.54 days before the stay. So if we're now at 9 days before the stay date, then I just want to be doing everything possible to try and get a booking, because my data is telling me that I've probably missed the boat of being able to capture a booking, and by doing a highly discounted price, I will be able to then capture that booking, or potentially anyway. You don't get it right all the time, but it's definitely one strategy to get bookings, is to massively reduce your prices down. I know having been in this game, I always book last minute holidays now. Always. I went to Maldives over Christmas and I looked 3 months before we went, and I know how hotels work, I know how Airbnbs work, I know how short-term rentals work. So I know that the last few days, if something's not occupied, then the prices will get whacked down. Now, I had the flexibility to be able to just jump on a plane the next day and go to a destination. At the time of year, I knew it wasn't going to be mega busy. There's so many different islands with so many different amazing places that I wasn't worried about not being able to get anywhere. So for me, that worked very nicely for this trip, and my mindset and knowing how these things work, I got that trip at least half price, if not even more, by just knowing how most people run their algorithms for bookings. So there are strategies that do work, and I would sort of employ as much as you can through the data of what works for your properties, what your averages are, and then tweak this to suit where you want to be. And obviously 30% may be too aggressive for your portfolio, but you can, in the pricing structure, when you are in your, again, I'm not going to do it, but in managed listings here, you can go to your base rate, and you can also set a minimum rate. So you might have a base rate of, say, $100, and you could have a 30% customization discount on, as we've just shown there, and you might say, I want a minimum price of $85. So even though you've got a 30%, it's not going to take it more than 15% below. It depends how you see fit with that. I personally don't run with any minimums. I like the algorithms to just do its thing. I'd rather get some money in than no money, but at the same time, you have to know where your break-even point is per night and make sure that you're making money rather than just running the ship, letting people stay and not actually making any money from this. Demand factor in terms of sensitivity, so where you are, low, high, or on demand, you can choose that however you see fit. And then you've got your stay restrictions, and then you come into more customizations, and we have the general. One thing that I have missed is you can select different profiles depending on what your properties may be. So short-term rentals is probably where the majority is going to fall into. Mid-term rentals, this is probably more the game I play now, where we are getting anywhere from kind of 3 to 12 month stays from contractors, especially in the UK. In Dubai, we are still very much in the short-term rental phase. And then you may have multi-units. Very popular these days, apartment blocks or converted hotels, apart hotels, campsites, holidays, RVs, that sort of thing. So you can choose these different sections, and then it will automatically change the presets for you and give you some different options to be able to structure. And then you can tag either this property as a short-term rental, it's a mid-term rental, or ultimately it's a multi-unit. General, again, we're just kind of going through the general. This is basically where we were on stay restrictions. One of the things that you can do is this day of week pricing adjustment. So if you know, for example, that on a Friday and a Saturday you might naturally get more money, well, your base rate will change. So there's two kind of arguments to this tool. Is your base rate, if it's set at 100 and the data's coming in, it knows that, for argument's sake, Newcastle, where I operate in the UK, it knows that on a Friday and Saturday night it's typically a busy city. It attracts stag do's, hen do's, it attracts events, sports, away teams, the football, all that sort of stuff. So on a Friday and Saturday, the base rate will naturally increase anyway. But if you wanted to say, I wanted to go an extra 50% on top of the recommendation of Pricelabs base rate for those Friday and Saturdays, then you can do. You might think on a Sunday, I really don't get many bookings, so I might go minus 50%, whatever's being recommended. Again, you can test it, you can play with it, and you can do whatever you want with this tool. The thing that I think is really important is trying to keep it as simple as you possibly can. Don't try and make it too complicated. Try and just keep it as simple as you can. I really like to just try and, the majority of things is account level, and then only if I really have to change things into a group or a listing customization. But the majority of the stuff I do account. I think I operate in different cities, obviously, so I do group the cities, and then, as I said, it's only very rare that we might say, okay, well, we've got a unique set of properties that need a different customization. Seasonal minimum, so you can have seasonal profiles. You can set seasons as you wish, so you might say, okay, well, summer, and the start date of that season could be June, let's just say June 1st, and the end date could be September 30th. Your minimum price percentage increase, your maximum price percentage increase, and then you can create profiles, and then you can attach these profiles to the properties so that it knows when it kicks into the 1st of June that that profile has to exist. This is great for holiday destinations where there's massive influxes in tourism and peaks and troughs. Again, I don't really use it because I feel like I can do what I need to do from the customizations with my kind of midterm strategy. Seasonality, so you can again choose a preset of what you want it to do. Minimum weekend pricing, again, you've got percentage on base rate, you've got percentage on your minimum price, or you can just choose a fixed. And minimum far out pricing, again, you can just choose fixed, percentage on base, or a percentage on minimum. And then as you go into the advanced, you can choose your weekend days. So you could say, okay, well, my weekend is actually a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. If you feel like you get busy on a Sunday, or it could be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can decide how you change on that. Your demand season factor, customer far out pricing, pricing offset. This is for when you want to offset a recommended price, you can give it a tiny bit more flexibility. So you can put that in there. Adjacent factor, rounding. So if you want to round to the nearest pricing, again, last digit, 1 digit, 5 digit. This is great for penny pinching, but you know, as my dad always says, like, look after the pennies and the pounds take care of themselves. So if you want to round up and you get 1,000 bookings a year and you're taking an extra $2 or $5 on a roundup, that's an extra $2,000 to $5,000 a year. It all helps. And then you have various smoothing options again, so week starting Sunday night and weekend starting Friday night, week starting Friday night. You can decide how you want to run it. I, as you can see, don't really use many of these customizations. I try and just keep things as simple as possible and use the kind of average length of stay, the orphan days, I set my weekend days. I will sometimes set the increases on the weekends depending on where we're at. And that is pretty much how it looks here. And then the great thing about this is the way that the account calendar is. So if you once you've done it, you would go in here and you click sync now, and then that would sync all of your listings that fall into that. Again, you've got groups and you've got listing levels, which you can change as we discussed. It just means that you're doing things on the group or the listing level. As you see here, I've got groups set up for different things, and then when I edit that, any edits made there will fall into that group. And once we're done, if you decide that maybe this isn't working, or you want to just drive a bit of traffic, I tend to do this probably more so in the slow months than the peak months, but we could go here and we go, right, I'm not that booked this week, so let's just click on 19th, and we're gonna run a one-off promotion till the 31st. I want to discount all properties because I'm on the account level here, but again, if you want to do it on the group or the listing level, you can do the same thing. You want to minus 20% on the recommended price. You want a minimum stay of 3 nights booking, or you might say I want a minimum stay of 5 nights booking if they want to get that 20% discount. And reason for override, drive traffic, bookings a bit slow, and then you would add that. And then you'll see here that that's going to put that on there, and you've got your reason so you know what it is. Very easy. If you don't want it on, you just come back and you just delete it and it goes. But again, one thing that you do need to do is once you put that on, sync the calendar, come back here and go sync to make sure that you are pushing everything through to your listings. Pricelabs will automatically sync once a day, but I like to just, the minute I've done any changes, sync them, get them loaded in, and get the algorithms playing. So that's the customization side of Pricelabs. It's very much a tool that you're just going to have to play around with, but hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight into how I think about things and how I use the data from the analytics to be able to help me make decisions. There's some great data in there: average length stay, average booking window. There's some great data in there that you can use. Average length of stay and average booking window would be my two favorites. That gives you an idea of how long you should set your minimum stay for and how long you should focus on discounting for, based on when you think you're going to miss the booking window. Some people could have that too soon. For example, with me being 11.5, if I set my discount at 20 days or less, well, I'm potentially giving up 10 days where I could actually be making a hell of a lot more profit, because people are only booking around 11 days out. So you really don't want to start being aggressively discounting your properties until below your average booking window has expired. Hopefully that helps. If you do want to use Pricelabs, there's a link in the description. Click the link and set up your account, start playing around with it. It is an amazing tool. I've used it since day one, and I would highly recommend it to any short-term rental host that wants to save time and make more money. Until the next episode, take care.